Okay, good evening. The time having arrived, we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission for Wednesday, August the 1st, 2018, and ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Peters.
It's set on vote.
Oh. There we go. Is that better?
Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Frost. Here. Hume.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Harrison.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Very good. Now, if you would please address the flag and join Commissioner Green in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. And I cannot recall, Madam Clerk, do you read the Metro Cable statement or do I?
No, sir. If you could do it, that'd be great.
I will do it. This meeting of the Local Agency Formation Commission is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T U-verse. The meeting is also webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated Friday, November 9th at noon and Tuesday, November 13th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. The meeting is also closed captioned. We ask that you please turn off any cell phones or noise-making devices. Speaker slips are located at the table on the back of the room and on the front podium. Please fill them out and hand them to our clerk, Diane Thorpe, if you would like to speak on any item on or off of the agenda. Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to comment on any item not on the agenda? Okay, seeing no one, we will move on. Madam Clerk, please read the first item.
First item is the consent calendar, items 1 through 3.
Is there a motion to approve the consent or any discussion? I have a motion by Frost.
Second that motion.
A second by Harrison. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next item is item number 4, public member, alternate public commission member.
Well, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. This is a brief item for you this evening. We have the 4-year term of the public member and the alternate public member run concurrently. They both will expire at the end of this calendar year. We do have the Commissioner Harrison has expressed his desire to retire greener pastures, and the alternate, Chris Little, has expressed an interest in moving. There's no immediate right of ascension, so he has thrown his hat into the ring for consideration. What we're asking this evening or suggesting is your commission appoint a subcommittee to review. We have 3 applicants, review the applications, and direct the commission clerk to arrange interviews at your convenience. We're probably, in the past, we've had 1 interview day, depending on the number of applicants. We do need a member of each appointing entity, so we need a member of the board, a member appointed by the cities, and a member of the special districts. Each of those categories is an affirmative vote from each of those categories. The subcommittee of 3 will make a recommendation to the full commission, and each of those categories needs to have an affirmative vote, at a minimum of 1 affirmative vote from each category. We need 4 votes to carry the matter. The term would commence upon appointment. The current terms run until replaced. It is a 4-year term. We did post the notice on our website for 30-plus days, beginning September 28th through November 1st. We did receive 3 applicants, as I mentioned. The idea is to, if we can have the process occur with the subcommittee and the recommendations coming forward during the month of this month of November, we can have this back for your commission consideration in December. We have a recess in January, so that the new appointee whose term would commence in January would take their seat at the February meeting. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for the executive officer? No? I'm sorry, Don, did you say we'd make the decision in December and they would start in February?
The appointment runs January but there's no meeting in January, so the seat would be assumed in the first meeting in February.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? No? Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item? I have no speaker slips filled out. Okay. We will move on to...
No, we need to appoint a subcommittee.
Yes, we'd like to have, well, as I said, a member from each of the appointing categories, like the county, the cities, and the special district folks, one of each.
Okay, so I am here. I'm willing to serve as the city commissioner.
I nominate Susan as the county.
Thank you.
You're
Happy
okay
to.
with that? Okay. Mr. Harrison, is the final duty of your term here, would you be willing to serve as the special district?
I thought I heard that you asked the city, district, and county.
Right. So we need.
Oh, you're the public member. My apologies.
Right.
You'll do it? Okay, great. Do we need a formal motion and vote on that?
I believe direction to the commission's been given, and we'll take the steps necessary to arrange schedules.
You'll set up the meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Excellent.
It says approve, so I kind of feel like we should vote on it.
Well, that's the process itself. I apologize for the semantics.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right.
Please vote. Oh, sorry.
All those in favor?
And who seconded the motion?
Commissioner Frost.
Push it. Yeah, till it turns green. No, at the top. Yeah, there you go.
It's not showing up. We have a 6-0 approve. It's not showing up on the
Okay, that's good enough.
voting closed.
Please read the next item.
Next item is item number 5, Sacramento Area Sewer District, annexation of the community of Freeport.
This proposal was initiated by the Board of Directors of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. It addresses the unincorporated community of Freeport, which is just south of the city of Sacramento southerly city limits. It's essentially the locations between the city of Sacramento and the Sacramento River. It's a gold rush era town that has always been self-sufficient and independent in their thinking. They, for the most part, well, they have 100%. They have a mix of suburban town uses, and on each of the parcels, they're served by their individual potable water well and their individual septic systems. One of the issues that's really presented itself most recently with some of the heavy rains we've been having in the wintertime is soil saturation. And there's an opportunity through this proposal to receive some grant funding to put in place services for sanitary sewer that would be, there's financial arrangements. The SASD has had extensive outreach with the community to explain the fiscal implications, what can be cost shared and what's going to be the responsibility of the district and or the landowner. It is an inhabited setting, and there's 17 parcels, or excuse me, 41 parcels with about 17 acres. There's been no protest lodged through the SASD proceedings to date. We've not heard from anybody in the community, so we're recommending approval of the proposal, the annexation to the SASD. Also recommending that your commission appoint myself as the executive officer as the conducting authority to complete the protest proceedings. We'll accomplish that at the close of the 30-day reconsideration period, and then report back the outcome of that process likely in February. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the commission.
Okay, any questions for the executive officer? Commissioner Peters.
I just have a comment that Supervisor Natoli, who represents this area, is A-OK with this. And on that, I'll move the item.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Peters, a second from Commissioner Greenwood. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this item? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Or vote.
Opposed or vote. And we'll just do the...
Or both.
I just obey.
Okay. Another 6-0. Okay, and I need to recuse myself for the next item, given that I have received a financial contribution from Tykert, who is involved in this project. So I bid you all farewell.
Next item, please.
Next item is City of Sacramento Aspen 1 annexation, reorganization.
This item was initiated by the City Council, City of Sacramento, by resolution after considerable consultation with the landowners. The landowners are going through a larger land use entitlement process for a master planning of a former aggregate mining pit. Mining operation, I should say. This area is largely at street grade, but it contains some support activities, offices, that sort of thing. The parcel is about 30 acres, 27 acres. It was created as a result of a realignment some time ago of South Watt Avenue. It's located south of Jackson Highway, abutting South Watt Avenue. It's essentially surrounded by the city of Sacramento city limits, which follows Watt Avenue for the most part as their boundary in that area. This is roughly a cleanup. It's an undeveloped site. There is an on-site regional sanitation transfer station here. Regional sanitation as a property owner has no objection to this proposal. Tykert as the landowner has no objection to this proposal. There was extensive consideration and conversation with the private investor-owned utility, California American Water Company. It's within their franchise area. It's not connected to any services. It's not planned for any services. We worked with the city, the landowners, and the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, who oversees franchise boundaries, franchise service areas. The PUC has acted to authorize a change in the franchise area, which clears the way for the city of Sacramento to become the provider of water services here. The property tax exchange agreement, which has been signed off on by the Board of Supervisors and the City Council, addresses concerns that were raised by the affected special districts with the detachments. Sac Metro Fire District, it's within their service area. It's right on the city limits boundary, so there is a fairly constant interchange of what's called boundary drops and who responds to what. There's not anything on the site right now to respond to. That is addressed in the property tax exchange agreement, how that can be, how equity can be maintained and preserved as far as service impacts, cost impacts going forward. So Metro Fire has signed off on this proposal, on this detachment. It's within the Cordova Rec and Park District service area boundary. Again, there's no facilities. It's kind of an orphaned parcel here. There's no facilities and no planned facilities by Cordova. They receive, as a result of the detachment, their current cash flow for a defined period of time. They've signed off on this detachment as well. Technically, we've listed just for the information of the public and the commission, detachments from CalAm. CalAm is not under the commission authority or purview, so it's more of a matter of just making an adjustment to their franchise area and allowing the city to go in unfettered as the water service provider. It is also, we're proposing at the request of Sac County Water Agency that several water maintenance zones be detached from this. Again, SCWA is not under the commission's purview, but this clears the way for them to do some housekeeping at the time the annexation goes forward and is completed. So those are somewhat just technical points of clarification of where the commission's authority lies and where it does not. There is no one living here. All agencies do concur with the proposal, as do the landowners. So the recommendation is that your commission waive the conducting authority proceedings and direct myself to go forward with the final paperwork to affect the change in jurisdiction. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from board members? Director Peters?
I don't have any questions, but the city and the county have been working on this for quite a long time and are in agreement.
Any other questions or comments or a motion?
I'll move the item.
We have a motion by Director Peters.
I'll second.
Second by Director Greenwood. All in favor?
If I could take a moment, I apologize. I wanted to let the commission know that we do have representatives from the city of Sacramento, if you have any questions, and the landowners. I think the landowners may want to make a statement for the record.
Okay. Please.
You don't have to speak if you don't want to.
Yeah. State your name for the record and.
How could I miss this opportunity? Members of the Commission, Mike Isle from Tykert, representing the landowner. I just want to take a moment to thank staff both on the LAFCo side as well as the City of Sacramento and Sacramento County. This has been many years in the making. Seems very anticlimactic at this point, small item, but it's taken a lot of years, so I appreciate all the work that's gone on behind the scenes, and also was asked to acknowledge campaign contribution to Commissioner Hume made on behalf of Tykert. So, but we're supportive of this action and available if there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did the City of Sacramento wish to speak? Okay. All in favor?
Please vote.
Oh, please vote. Sorry.
Thank you, motion passed.
Okay, and next item is questions and announcements by our executive officer or commission counsel.
Just briefly to report back to the commission, what you may recall, our meeting in October was canceled in light of the statewide LAFCo annual conference in Yosemite. I attended, as well as Commissioners Frost and Jones. Found it to be, first off, of course, a beautiful setting. We did go on a field trip that showed the state of the forest, both burned or getting ready to burn. So that was a little bit of an eye-opener. But overall, it was time well spent, and I appreciate the opportunity of the commission to give us that education.
Thank you, and I also went on that conference. It was hats off to Commissioner Jones, who did a really great job in planning the conference. I went early and attended the tree mortality tour, which we all went on. It was very interesting. In the conference, it was filled with information. Not only did we get a chance to see what's going on in the Yosemite Valley and the impact of that situation on our forests everywhere in California, and the real extent of the problem that we have in the forests with fires. But also we had some in-depth discussions around municipal service reviews and LAFCo's role in encouraging agency accountability and transparency, and also there were LAFCos around the state who kind of were there to discuss MSRs and their intended purpose and how they can be used, the conversation around cost and do we really want to pay for them for the resources that we get. And there were numerous breakout sessions. I attended an agricultural preservation meeting where we learned from the speakers from Ventura and Contra Costa and Monterey and Santa Clara, where they were talking about how they are preserving farmland in their communities and how they're taking agricultural preservation to the next level by actually creating agricultural preservation plans, including farmland mapping and monitoring programs, and putting a definition for prime farmland and what is LAFCo's role in preserving the farmland. And what I've kind of got out of the conversation was that they're taking it to a higher level where it's not so easy, where you can't just be pressured maybe, but where it's not so easy to give up your farmland, where there's actually a master plan around the valuable ag land. And there are some communities that are actually tapping into the cap and trade money by putting together sustainable ag land conservation programs and so forth. So that was kind of interesting, and those communities are doing that individually and bringing money, actually bringing funds into their community through cap and trade. There were a lot of timely topics, brainstorming sessions, a lot of great food, good company, and it was a wonderful experience in Yosemite, although the face of Yosemite has changed quite a bit. It's going to change even more.
Yeah, very much so, very much so.
It was a great conference, so. And were there any other comments?
Not from me, no.
Comments by council? Okay. We do not have a closed session this evening, and so if there are no comments by members, any members have comments? With that being said, this meeting is adjourned.